Can you go down low? How low can you go, Indiana Fever? Geez, you guys have just turned this organization into a flat out joke. All of a sudden, Sophie Cunningham is hurt. All of a sudden, her elbow's messed up. Y'all smell that? Smells like BS. It smells like some punishment is being served out to Sophie Cunningham for
behind closed doors. However, that fierce loyalty was reportedly igniting serious friction with the Fever's coaching staff. Sources indicate that head coach Stephanie White grew increasingly concerned that Sophie Cunningham's behavior was spiraling beyond control. Her emotional outbursts, technical fouls, and aggressively defensive stance toward Caitlin Clark were allegedly disrupting team structure. White's staff wanted discipline, composure, and clear authority over in-game responses. Cunningham, meanwhile, seemed singularly focused on shielding her star point guard, and that clash in priorities reportedly pushed the franchise to a breaking point. Insiders described the morning of the alleged suspension as eerily cold at Indiana's practice facility, tension heavy before players even arrived. Cunningham was reportedly summoned to a private meeting with White. No teammates, no warning, no preparation. She was told her conduct was damaging the team's image and focus. Despite fans viewing her toughness as crucial to Clark's survival under physical duress, Cunningham was ordered to gather her belongings and step away indefinitely. Officials allegedly planned to cite a personal issue to soften public backlash. Imagine that gut-wrenching moment, sacrificing your body and reputation for a teammate, only to be quietly cast out by the very organization you bled for. Witnesses claimed Cunningham left tearfully, silently clearing her locker before teammates arrived, refusing to cause a scene. She absorbed the punishment as she had absorbed hits on the court in heartbroken silence, believing those she fought for might never know the real reason she disappeared.
Is ridiculous. Look at the first comment, Evelyn. You guys are a clown organization. Here it says, Sophie hurt her elbow writing this for Stephanie White, didn't she? This is what Sophie Cunningham has. I will not pass to Caitlin again. I will not pass to Caitlin Clark again. This is what they forced Sophie Cunningham to do. Okay, that's how she hurt her elbow. CDS Sports, go rogue, win game, end up on injury report. Beatings will continue until morale improves. This is ridiculous, guys. This is ridiculous. Everybody knows this is clearly punishment for Sophie Cunningham. Chloe Peterson was the first to report on it. She said, Sophie Cunningham is questionable with a right elbow injury for tomorrow's game. She participated in the portion of practice open to the media this morning. Okay. And everybody knows every comment is that this is punishment. Look here, Sophie being put in timeout for speaking what's on her mind.
But the coaching staff allegedly made one catastrophic miscalculation. They underestimated how unbreakable the bond between Cunningham and Clark had become. When Caitlin Clark reportedly arrived at the arena and saw Sophie's locker stripped bare, the facility's atmosphere shifted instantly. A staff member quietly explained the suspension, and within seconds, the MVP candidate erupted not with ordinary frustration, but with a raw blend of heartbreak, anger, and betrayal. Clark immediately understood that her protector had been sacrificed to preserve the organization's image. She never even laced up her shoes. Instead, she bypassed assistant coaches and marched straight to Stephanie White's office with a fury witnesses had never seen. When she flung open the door, those nearby reportedly heard one of the most emotional confrontations in Fever history. Clark reminded White that Cunningham had absorbed every physical hit meant for her, stepping up whenever opponents tried to intimidate or injure. She made it clear she would not quietly accept the removal of the one teammate who consistently had her back. White allegedly explained the suspension came from above, intended to restore control, but Clark rejected that outright. She saw it as betrayal, recognized her immense leverage, and decided to use it all. Leaning across the desk, she delivered a stunning ultimatum. Reverse the suspension immediately, or she would leave alongside Sophie. If Cunningham was out, Clark would refuse to stay. The impact was instantaneous. News of the confrontation reached league officials within minutes, throwing the commissioner's office into emergency mode as they realized the WNBA's biggest star might actually walk away from the season.
This organization is like the mafia. So everyone knows, it's clear as day that this is punishment for Sophie Cunningham. It's very, very, very obvious that this is punishment for Sophie Cunningham. The organization is a straight up clown show at this point. And then not only that, they have not addressed the smear campaign. They've gone out of their way to address any and everything else. They refuse to address the smear campaign led by Dan Dockich, who has been adamant about he's getting this information from the inside. Not only have they not addressed that, and he doubled down on it today. Dan Dockich was bombing again today. Stephanie White went on the same platform that took shots at Caitlin Clark and aired a hit piece. This is crazy. All of this is just flat out craziness. This Indiana Fever organization is a flat out joke. Sophie Cunningham is being punished for going rogue with Caitlin Clark, passing her the ball. You know they wanted that ball to go to Kelsey Mitchell. They didn't give a damn. That ball go to Kelsey Mitchell or come hell or high water. And that is what it is.
Now consider the financial reality, buddy. League officials know exactly what's driving the WNBA's recent surge, the packed arenas, soaring TV ratings, merchandise sales, and unprecedented attention surrounding Indiana are all heavily tied to Caitlin Clark. If Clark refuses to play in protest of Sophie Cunningham's alleged suspension, the damage could be catastrophic. Some projections suggest nearly half the league's current audience could vanish if Clark walks away, as millions tune in specifically to watch her. Her fiercely loyal fan base has already flooded social media, demanding fair treatment for Cunningham and applauding Clark's solidarity. According to reports, the commissioner is furious that Stephanie White and the Fever allowed this conflict to escalate so dangerously. Emergency discussions are allegedly underway, with PR teams scrambling to control the narrative. The stability of the entire season may now hinge on Indiana's next move. Will White reverse the suspension and bring Sophie back? Would Clark genuinely abandon a historic campaign to defend the teammate who protected her? We could be witnessing a full-scale rebellion within the Fever organization. This controversy has transcended basketball strategy. It's now a test of family, trust, loyalty, and whether an athlete should stand up for someone who repeatedly sacrificed herself on her behalf.
Isn't it obvious? Isn't it obvious that Dan Dockich is not lying about the information he's getting from within this organization as they refuse to address it? Dan Dockich doubled down on everything he said right here in this. He took the X. Yo, G, damn it, hold on. Steph White is calling. Gotta go to work. Keep hating. Keep stalking. So he's taking shots at the people that have been addressing him, adding on to the smear campaign that's going on against Caitlin Clark. It's ridiculous, but the fact of the matter is you can't blame Dan Dockich. You can't blame him. He's not lying about where he's getting the information from, which is why the Indiana Fever is so hush-hush and damn quiet about it. He's not lying. None of them are going to come out and call him a liar. None of them have stepped up to the plate to address the smear campaign that's being launched at Caitlin Clark. She's being targeted. They're not saying anything because it's coming from them. They've gone on to address everything else, whether it's people coming at them for the draft. Lynn Dunn went and called us all complainers. Stephanie White addressing the fans saying, hey, these games are boring as hell now. These games are boring. The product stinks now. You've come over here and ruined the product. The games are entertaining. She addressed that in last game's pregame podium. They've addressed everything. The Indiana Fever's Twitter handle or X handle put a post up after last game saying, are you not entertained? They've been addressing everything publicly but this because they are in on it. Make no mistake about that. Make no mistake about that at all. And then Stephanie White, shout out to Mick Talks.
I would strongly encourage everyone to pay close attention to Cheryl Reeves' comments. They were remarkably thoughtful and deserved serious consideration.
This is gross.
Well, we see Cheryl Reeve wearing a shirt today in support of trans kids. Trans kids belong on the shirt. This in the aftermath of Sophie Cunningham's recent comments. We actually saw Cheryl and Sophie speaking at center court pregame. And yesterday, Cheryl Reeves spent a lot of time talking at length with the media about...
Now I want to hear from you. Fans are completely split. Would Clark be justified in risking her season for Cunningham? Or was White right to suspend a player whose aggression she felt hurt the team? Drop your honest take in the comments. Like, if loyalty still matters, share this video and subscribe for updates on this explosive Fever controversy. See you next time.
Easy to find online.
I would encourage anybody to go see Cheryl Reeves' comments. By the way, Sophie did not look like she backed down from Cheryl Reeve. I've got more coming on all of this. This is right here. Sophie Cunningham, by the way, took a ugly elbow in this game, and the refs called the foul against her. Let's just look at this. Bam! Hit her right in the jaw. And the refs, they swallowed their whistles. I'd love to know why. Lynx defeated the Fever 108-100. And you could see the deficiencies in this team showed out. The bench is not deep enough. There's not enough length on this team. Again, we were saying that as free agency was going on. And then the draft, when it really blew up, and they took Raven Johnson instead of a big. And they got rid of Justine Passat. It felt like the Fever never had a chance in this game. And I was looking at the starting five for the Lynx. We got to realize.
Sit down and prepare yourself, because behind the scenes, the WNBA may be facing one of the most devastating emotional crises in its history. Far from the cameras and roaring crowds, reports claim the Indiana Fever locker room has been torn apart, and what's allegedly happening inside could trigger consequences stretching across the entire league. Some observers believe a massive portion of the WNBA audience could vanish if officials fail to control the fallout. You might have assumed this season was only about historic numbers and shattered records. But this story runs much deeper. It's about loyalty, betrayal, protection, and one player risking everything for the teammate who defended her. Explosive reports claim coach Stephanie White quietly handed Sophie Cunningham a devastating suspension. But before the situation could be hidden, Caitlin Clark, the league's biggest star, reportedly confronted the decision and delivered an ultimatum that sent panic through the entire WNBA. Stay with this until the end, because we're examining the alleged tears, betrayal, and the moment Clark supposedly made her position unmistakably clear. If Sophie leaves, she leaves too. To understand the reaction, you first have to recognize the powerful, mostly unspoken bond between Clark and Cunningham. From the moment Clark entered the league, she carried a massive target. Veterans challenged her, opponents designed physical schemes to stop her, and hard contact became routine. Clark needed someone willing to protect her, absorb criticism, and risk reputation so she could perform. Sophie became that person, accepting technicals, enduring punishment, and facing hostility from opposing crowds without backing down. To the league, she was the villain. But inside Indiana, she was the teammate who would defend Clark no matter the personal cost.